Hello, my name is Brett Park, and in today's video, with something really fun and fresh happening, y'all, we are going to be talking about 5 ways to fill your sketchbook. Now, I've done a couple of these videos before, but today we're spicing it up a bit more. We're doing something different, something fun, something unique and fresh. So if you haven't been feeling inspired to create lately, or you're in the middle of a bad art block, this is the video for you. Also, really quickly, in the past week, my channel has actually grown a lot, so there may be some new faces here. So if you are seeing my face for the first time, and I am seeing your face for the first time, let me just formally introduce myself really quickly. I just finished my sophomore year at USC, and I'm studying both communications and art. It's a fun time there. I'm just trying to document my journey as an art student in LA, and while I do so, I also want to connect with other creatives through this channel and just show y'all a little bit about who I am and about my creative process, and for me to learn more about y'all. So that's a little bit about me, and without further ado, let's get into the video. The first sketchbook idea is called a window page. A window page is exactly what it sounds like. You simply draw a little rectangle where you're gonna cut out, do a little design moment, and then once you cut it out, it'll reveal something on the page behind it. So here, I'm trying to do some hands opening up a hole in the paper, and then I'm gonna have an eye peeping through. That was the concept I was going for. I personally did not use a reference photo for this one, and you can definitely see that later, because I kinda look like shit. But it was honestly just a stylized face. I think it looked pretty good in the end. But if you go into Pinterest and literally look up like window sketchbook pages, you can find a ton of different ideas that you can go along with and try out. I would super recommend that, and this is just a little preview of what you could do with a window page. The second sketchbook page is a pretty easy one, y'all. You don't even really need to draw for this one. All you're gonna do is go back to a previous sketchbook page, and then you're gonna get a clear piece of plastic that you can draw on top of. For me, I'm personally using some acetate paper that I got on Amazon. It was pretty cheap, it was pretty easy, it was pretty fun. However, you don't need to go out of your way and buy clear paper. You can also use saran wrap, an empty Ziploc bag, and on the clear film, you can start adding to the drawing in a way that won't actually affect it. You'll still have your nice and pretty drawing. However, if you wanted to spice it up a bit, you can add some highlights, you can add some blush, some makeup on them, and you can even add some extra designs and playful elements that won't affect the drawing at all. The third sketchbook idea is simply doing a silhouette of the figure, and as much as this is a sketchbook idea, you can also use it as a drawing exercise. This really trains your eye to look at the silhouettes of things and to understand the shape of form of the figures that you're looking at, and it helps you break it down into layers. So as you can see, the first thing I'm doing is going in with my lightest marker. So I started with a base layer of yellow because that was my lightest hue. And then after I found the silhouette, I started adding the orange marker, and then I added the turquoise color on top of that to give it some depth and deeper hues. And the final step was to add all the detail in with a Prismacolor pencil and just being really loose and expressive with it. You can probably tell that my figure does not exactly line up with the reference photo, and that's because when you're doing this exercise, you're really getting a general shape of the figure. You're not trying to be perfect. If we were trying to go for that, we would just use pencil and then sketch everything out first. However, we're really just trying to train our eye to identify shapes and forms. So don't worry if yours doesn't look perfect. and spotless. It's supposed to look messy and expressive, and honestly, it can add a different element of energy into it. We always like a little movement in our static little papers, so this is just a fun way to do that. The fourth sketchbook idea is putting blobs on the paper. Yeah, blobs. I tried to do this a couple of videos ago, but I did it completely wrong. What you're supposed to do actually is draw a bunch of blob shapes with a marker, and then you're supposed to make faces and cartoon characters surrounding the identity of the blob. So with the blobs I created, I just went into different shapes and forms of people, and it's really fun because based on the posture of the blob and how you go about it, you can really get a cartoon character that has an identity and has a whole backstory. The fifth sketchbook idea is when you have a marker that bleeds through the paper. A lot of times in sketchbooks, even if it's a moleskin with thick and good quality paper, you'll still have some markers that bleed through. So instead of just covering the page entirely, I like to look at the different shapes that this bleed through made, and then I force myself to be super creative and create a whole picture and scene based on the blobs that I'm looking at. So over here, I did some animals, I did a deer running, I did a lot of fun things, and you can just go crazy with it. So those were all the sketchbook ideas I have in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, like the video. And if you have a fun comment, critique, or joke to share, comment down below. And I will try my best to reply to every single person in the comments, because as much as I want to introduce myself, I want to get to know y'all. And the very last thing I have to say is that if you like me, my art, or want to follow my journey as an art student in LA, you can subscribe. It's a fun time here. And I think that's the end of the video, y'all. That's the end of the video.